Hi guys, and welcome to our English class. Today we are starting Unit 5, and this unit is all about taking action. Now, let's take a look at Week 1. Week 1 says, let's trade. Now, we are going to be talking about how do we get what we need. Now, everything is a give and a take. Everyone is thirsty. All the kids want a glass of Sue's lemonade. They wait in line for what they want and need. They will pay for it in different ways. So one way that you could pay for it is that you could use some money. Some will barter or trade, make an exchange. Sue is getting what she needs too. She is working to save money to buy a new bike. So this week we're talking about how do we get what we need? What are the ways that we can do that? Now, before we start our story, let's take a look at our vocabulary words. So our first vocabulary word this week is admit. Now, admit means that you're going to confess something to be true. Usually with some reluctance. Maybe you don't really want to tell the truth, but you do tell the truth. Josh had to admit to his mom that he got dirt on her clean sheets. So maybe he really didn't want to tell her, but he admitted that he did it. Next, we have barter. Now, to barter means that you're going to exchange one thing for another thing, but you're not going to use money. So maybe I have a pencil and my friend has a piece of paper and we exchange. Maybe I need the paper and she needs the pencil. Amy likes to barter or trade parts of her lunch with Kim. Next, we have considered. Now, if you're going to consider something, it means that you're going to think very carefully about it, usually before you make a decision. Marta thought carefully as she considered which tomato to buy. Next, we have creation. Now, a creation is the action or process of bringing something into existence. You are making it for the first time. Ella admired her creation in art class. Next, we have humble. Now, humble means that you're showing a modest or a low estimate of one's own importance. So this means that you're not thinking very highly of yourself, but that you're very humble. You have a very low or normal opinion about yourself. My grandfather's house is humble, simple, and plain. So simple and plain can be synonyms for the word humble. It helps us to explain what it means. Next, we have magnificent. Now, if something is magnificent, it means that it's impressively beautiful or elaborate or extravagant. Mr. Jacobs took a picture of the magnificent canyon. Next, we have payment. So payment is the action or the process of paying someone or something. Being paid, right? Giving someone some money or giving someone something in order to get something else. Mom gave our neighbor payment for the vase. Reluctantly. Now, if you're reluctant or you're doing something reluctantly, it means that you're doing it in a very hesitant way, or maybe you're a little unwilling to do it. The goats stepped reluctantly down the steep path. All right, now we're going to see those vocabulary words again in our story today, so remember to be looking for them. Now, the title of our story is called Juanita and the Beanstalk. And today our story is a fairy tale. Now, a fairy tale is a made-up story, and it has events that could not really happen in life. Usually it has magical characters or magical settings, and usually it almost always has a happy ending at the end of the story, and it has some message that it wants to tell us. So in our story today of Juanita and the Beanstalk, the essential question that we're going to be asking ourselves is, how do we get what we need? So we're going to read about how does Juanita get what she needs in our story today. All right, here we go. Juanita lived in a small, humble cottage with her mama and her pet goat, Pepe. One day, Mama said, "There has been no rain, and our garden has dried up. Juanita, you must go to town and sell your goat. Use the money you get as payment to buy some food." "I don't want to sell Pepe," cried Juanita. She petted the goat lovingly, but she was an obedient girl and would not disobey her mother. Reluctantly, she took Pepe to town. On her way, she met an old man who patted Pepe kindly. "He is for sale," said Juanita with tears in her eyes. The man replied, "I have no money, but I have some special frijoles. If you plant these beans, you will never go hungry again. We can barter, and I will trade you these beans for your goat." Okay, so far, who are the characters in the story? Okay, very good. So we have Juanita and Mama and Pepe. And then we also have this old man that she meets. So what is Juanita doing with Pepe? Very good. So she has to sell the goat. She has to take him into town. And why does she need to do that? Very good. There has been no rain. There's a drought. So that means that there's no food growing in the garden. All right, next page. Juanita thought carefully as she considered the man's offer. He seemed caring and considerate. Certainly, he would be kind to Pepe. So Juanita finally decided to sell Pepe. She accepted the beans. When Juanita got home, Mama was upset with her decision. "You have returned home with no food and no money," she exclaimed. Juanita had to admit that Mama was right. All she had were 3 beans, and she still missed Pepe. Worst of all, Mama was unhappy. Juanita planted the beans in the backyard and went to bed. The next morning she woke up and went outside. A gigantic beanstalk as tall as the clouds stood where Juanita had planted the beans. Juanita was curious. "I'm going to see what's up there," she said to herself. So Juanita climbed the beanstalk. At the top, she saw a grand and magnificent palace in the middle of the field. She knocked on the door, and a maid answered. "Hide!" cried the maid. "The giant is coming now, and he doesn't like strangers." So Juanita quickly crawled under the table. Okay, so what does Juanita get in exchange for Pepe? Beans. Very good. Now, how does this make her feel? Yeah, she's not feeling so great. She says that she misses Pepe. And she also says that Mama's unhappy, so she's not feeling very good about her decision to take the beans for Pepe. Now, what happens after Juanita plants the beans in the garden? Very good. A very big beanstalk grows. The giant stomped in carrying an unhappy hen in a cage. He said, "Lay, hen, lay." Juanita's curiosity grew, and she peeked from under the table. Then she saw the hen's creation. Juanita gasped. It was a golden egg. The poor hen reminded Juanita of Pepe. She wanted to give it a better home. She ran between the giant's legs and grabbed the cage. She raced to the beanstalk. The giant roared in anger and chased after her. Juanita was able to slide down the beanstalk, but the giant was too heavy. He caused the stalk to break and crash to the ground. The beanstalk was gone forever, and Juanita and the hen were safe. The hen was happy to have a new home and laid many golden eggs. Mama was happy to use the eggs to buy everything they needed. And Juanita was happy because she was able to trade a golden egg with the old man to get Pepe back. So my question is, what did Juanita find at the top of the beanstalk? Very good. She found a very elaborate, magnificent house. And what did she find inside of the house? Yes, a hen that laid golden eggs. Now, how does Juanita get what she needs in this story? Very good. So she grabs the hen and she takes it back down the beanstalk to her mama. Okay? So I would like you to think about what are some ways that you can get what you need. Now, maybe what you need is different than what Juanita needs. Maybe you need some books for school, or some clothes for school, or maybe you want a new bike, or some rollerblades, or maybe there's just something that you really want. So you can think to yourself, how can I get what I want? How can I make some money? How can I exchange or barter some goods in order to get what I need? Now, what we want to look at today is summarizing. All right. Now, when we summarize a story, we are going to retell the most important events that have happened. We're not going to tell every single detail, only the most important ones that help us to understand Juanita and the beanstalk. So if I were going to summarize this story, I would think, what were the most important things that happened? So first, I could say that, so the first thing that happened in the story is that Juanita needs to sell her goat because there is no rain to grow food and the family needs money. So that's the first detail that I would say from this story. Next, what happens is she sells the goat for 3 beans that grow into a giant beanstalk. Now, after that, she climbs the beanstalk and finds a hen that lays golden eggs. She takes the hen back to her home with her to buy the things she needs. So we can make the story very short, but we can still understand the most important details that happened in the story. This is very important to learn how to summarize the things that you have read. Now let's move on, and we're going to do a little practice with our vocabulary, okay? Now let's review the vocabulary words. We have admit, creation, considered, magnificent, humble, reluctantly, payment, and barter, okay? Now we're just going to use 4 of those words, and we are going to answer the question, and then we're going to use that word in a sentence, okay? So let's look at number 1. What did you do if you thought hard about a problem? Which word would fit into answering that question? Very good. So we would have considered. Very good. So let's change my color. We would have considered the problem. So let's put that back into the sentence. I considered the problem and made a decision. So that means I'm thinking hard and I have made a decision about what do I want to do. Next, number 2. What word means a thing that was made? Answer? Very good. So this is a creation, right? Now let's put that word back in the sentence. We could say that a creation is a thing that was made. Can you think of any creations that you have made in your life? Maybe a painting or a drawing, or maybe even a toy that you have created from Legos. Number 3. What word would describe an amazing display of fireworks? Keyword is amazing. Answer? Very good. So that would be magnificent. So let's put magnificent back into the sentence. We could say the fireworks display was magnificent. There we go. The fireworks display was magnificent. And number 4. What do people do when they make a trade? So I'm trading one thing for another thing. What would that answer be? Very good. So that would be a barter. Trading one thing for another thing. So let's put that back in the sentence. Okay, so we could say that when people barter something, they make a trade. There we go. So when people barter something, they make a trade. Very good job. So maybe you can take the other words and practice writing them in sentences as well this week so you can better understand our vocabulary words. Now next we're going to take a look at some grammar. And today we're going to be talking about pronouns. Now a pronoun is like he, she, it, me. A singular pronoun replaces a singular noun. So I, me, you. Those are all singular pronouns. A plural pronoun replaces a plural noun or more than one noun. So that would be us, we, they, you. Those would be plural pronouns. Now, a personal pronoun replaces a noun that refers to a person or thing. They can be both singular or plural. Personal pronouns include I, me, you, we, us, he, she, it, or you. Okay? These are all examples of pronouns. Now, let's just do number 1 together, just in case you're a little confused about how can I do this. All right, so let's look at number 1. And what we want to do is we're going to look at the word that is underlined, and we're going to replace it with a singular or a plural pronoun. So number 1, it says, Carlos is reading a book about African lions. So the first thing we need to do is look at Carlos. Is Carlos a singular or a plural pronoun? It's a singular pronoun. Carlos is a boy or a man. So if I have one man or one boy, I'm going to use which pronoun? I'm going to use he. He is reading a book about African lions. Okay? So we just took Carlos and exchanged it for he. Now let's try with number 2. Let's read it together. Marcus and Marcus and Anna are interested in Bengal tigers. So we have Marcus and Anna. Now, does that seem like a singular pronoun or a plural pronoun? Plural, very good. This would be a plural pronoun. So the pronoun we would use for this is they. They are interested in Bengal tigers. All right, now let's take a look at number 3. Jonas said, Jonas saw a movie about wildlife in Costa Rica. Jonas, what pronoun would we replace Jonas with? Very good. He. Jonas said he saw a movie about wildlife in Costa Rica. And number 4. The library closes at noon today. The library is not a person, it is a thing. So we would replace the library with, very good, it. It closes at noon today. Very good. Okay, so for our next exercise, we are just continuing with our plural pronouns, okay? Now, the pronoun has to match the word that it's replacing, right? So if it's singular, it needs to be singular. If it's plural, then it needs to be plural. So what we're going to do is we are going to also look at the gender. If it's a girl, then we need to replace it with a girl pronoun. If it's a boy, we need to replace it with a boy pronoun. So let's take a look at number 1. Cam and Tara helped out at the bake sale. Cam and Tara. Now, would we replace that with he or they? Very good. We would replace that with they, because Cam and Tara is a boy and a girl. 2 people, plural, they. Number 2. Our principal let us put a table up in front of the school. So we're looking at a table. Is a table it or he? Yes, very good. It is it. Number 3. David made lots of posters for the bake sale. Is David she or David he? Yes, David is a boy, so David is he. Number 4. We invited our parents and grandparents to come. So we have them or us. Now remember, us is including myself. So what would be the correct answer? Very good. We invited them to come, okay? Them, not us, them. All right, last page, draft model. So let's read our example. I went to my friend Alex's house last Saturday. Alex had a blue marble that I liked. I had a red marble that Alex liked. We traded the marbles. Now, let's take a look at number 1. How could you make the first sentence more interesting by starting it in a different way? So let's take a look. I went to my friend Alex's house last Saturday. Can you think of another way to begin this paragraph? Well, we could say, I had the best weekend. I had the best weekend, okay? Maybe that would be more exciting to start our paragraph. Number 2, how could you combine the second and the third sentences to make a compound sentence? So let's look, let's underline it. So Alex had a blue marble that I liked. I had a red marble that Alex liked. Well, we could simply cross out the period and we could insert and that gives us a compound sentence. Number 3, how could you make the last sentence more interesting by starting it in a different way? All right, so we traded the marbles. Can you think of another way that we could write that sentence? Okay, perhaps we could say, so we decided to have fun and traded the marbles. All right, now let's put that all together and see how our paragraph changes. I had the best weekend. I went to my friend Alex's house last Saturday. Alex had a blue marble that I liked, and I had a red marble that Alex liked. So we decided to have fun and traded the marbles. All right, that gives it just a little bit more excitement, a little bit more emotion and feeling. We know that this was a really good weekend. We know that they had fun, and we're using some compound sentences, so this makes our English writing even better. All right, guys, that's the end of our lesson for today, and I will see you next week. Happy practicing your English. Bye.